Roxo Media House. From the Flying T Club studios at Roxo Media House, this is Frogs Today. With special guests, TCU radio analyst Landry Burdine looks back on the Frogs Fiesta Bowl victory. Football guru Coach Beaudin compares the two head coaches. And we hear from TCU head football coach Sonny Dykes. And now, here's your host, the voice of the TCU Horned Frogs, Brian Estridge.
Welcome into Frogs Today here on the Wednesday from the Flying T Club studios. I'm Brian Estridge. All right, it's going to be Verbo Fiesta Bowl in review. Frogs beat Michigan, of course, 51-45. We're going to talk a lot about that game here today. But first, one other piece of news we cannot forget about: the 17th ranked TCU Horned Frog men's basketball team. Tonight, they take on the Baylor Bears down in Waco. Coming off a big win against Texas Tech at home. You have to hold serve at home, folks, in the Big 12, the toughest league in the country. Won't be easy tonight at the Farrell Center. We all know about, well, the talent that Baylor has and the experience, and Jamie Dixon touched on that exclusively with us earlier today.
Yeah, they have got great guards always, and that doesn't change. And they're old again, and that's the key to this league, staying old. But they have replaced some guys with some transfers, and they brought in a high-level freshman in George, so they're good again with experienced teams. So this is a team that we've got to out-rebound. We've got to hurt them on the boards, and that's what we're emphasizing.
One of the key has to be handling their press, right? They do that a lot.
They've been pressing more, and that's a bit of a surprise, but certainly did a lot in their first conference game. They'll be aggressive with it, more aggressive than I've seen them. More a trapping press in the backcourt than the 1-3-1-2-2 that they've done in the past. So it's a more aggressive one. We've got to take care of the basketball, but yet score on the other side.
That's TCU head basketball coach Jamie Dixon, his team tonight, 8 o'clock, Farrell Center in Waco to take on the Baylor Bears. All right, also today, Coach Sonny Dykes and a handful of TCU players met with the media. We've got wall-to-wall coverage of that starting right now. David Beaudin joins us from the TCU campus. All right, first off, let's start with this. What did we hear from the head coach, Coach Beaudin?
Yeah, Brian, we heard from Coach Dykes, and really, as cliche as it is, he's kept the same message all year long. So with all the questions of how they're going to handle this and how they're going to do things differently, he actually just got back to, like his dad would tell him, just dance with the girl who brung you. It was his quote, and said, look, we've just got to approach this like we would every other game and every other day, and they've done a really nice job all year long of blocking out distractions and focusing on doing their job. It's a mantra that Coach Dykes has taken on, and this team has taken on each and every week, and they'll continue to do that for this national championship game. And it's really why they're prepared. They do a lot of stuff. He talked also about the impact of Coach Kaz and that human performance staff on they do on the mental side of things, and they went through that and each player that spoke today, starting with Amari DiMaccardo, talked about how the mental approach has been so much bigger than just the physical things that they do in the weight room and all that stuff. It's all important, but really the mental aspect has been big. And then Amari also talked about going home, and he's less than a 5-minute drive from the stadium where is his home, and just how exciting it is, and for people in that area in his community, especially the youth, to see that there is hope. This guy's doing big things. He's got 2 master's degrees, does Amari, and to be able to do what he's doing on the field as well is really pretty remarkable. And he's certainly humbled by that, but excited about this opportunity to return home. It's out of a movie script, as he said.
Yeah, like you said, I think it would be like a Hollywood script, like something somebody wrote down and it finally just all played out. But it'll be a big moment for this program, for myself, obviously, but I think for this program, really just coming from the last few seasons we've had and just being able to turn it all around and have this, they call it like the Cinderella story. But to put it all together and win a national championship like that would mean so much for this program and the future of it.
All right, Amari DiMaccardo ready to get back to L.A., of course, and I think Coach David Beaudin's on to something, a little Hollywood script there. We're looking forward to that screenplay one day. All right, also there at TCU for us today is Jeff Wilson, the senior writer for FrogsToday.com. He'll always have the latest news. What do you got for us today, Jeff?
Yeah, that's right, Brian. News sells, baby. So there was some news. The biggest news, of course, is what's going to happen with Kendre Miller. Right now, as Sonny Dykes said, he's questionable for the game on Monday. They hope that he improves throughout the week and can go. It's a knee injury. When I was walking off the field from the Fiesta Bowl, Kendre told me it was an MCL deal. He didn't think it was bad. Obviously, it doesn't seem as bad as Chandler Morris's MCL deal because he was not even a consideration for week 2 after he was hurt against Colorado. So, if you're looking for positives, I guess questionable is a good place to start. And there is time to get better with treatment and get the swelling down, and he probably doesn't need to practice all that much. And then the other good thing is that Amari DiMaccardo had a career high 150 yards against Michigan, so that's good. Another news nugget here is it's Wednesday. The TCU is trying to get back onto its normal game week routine schedule. So today they're going to have a walkthrough tonight. They have not. That's when they're going to install the game plan, as you will. They have not done it so far. Coach has been breaking down film, looking at Georgia on both sides of the ball, and it's opened their eyes. I mean, I guess they knew Georgia was going to be a good team, but they see a lot of talent on the field at every spot. I guess you would expect that from the defending national champions, but TCU's confident. A win over Michigan is a big deal, and each win this year with every team that TCU's beaten, whether they were ranked at the time and not ranked at the end of the season or not, doesn't matter. Every win built confidence, and so I think this is a confident group as they go into a game. They're 2-touchdown underdogs. Give me the points, and I'll take my chances there. Sounds good. Brian, that's all I got.
All right, from Jeff Wilson, let's turn now to Jamie Plunkett. All right, Jamie, we're spending most of this show reviewing that Verbo Fiesta Bowl win for the Frogs over Michigan, but the Frogs have started to turn their attention to Georgia, have they not?
Well, that's right, Brian. We heard from Johnny Hodges and Wes Harris and Max Duggan also at the Tuesday press conference as TCU prepares for this national championship, and all three echoed the same sentiment as they talked about Georgia. They're long, they're athletic, they're fast, incredibly talented, one of the best coaching staffs in the country, but they also all said that in order to be the best, you have to beat the best, and that's how TCU is approaching this national championship opportunity. It's one that TCU fans probably didn't see coming at the beginning of the season, but Johnny Hodges said that he did. Everybody says that they're going to be good in fall camp, but Johnny said by about week 4 in that game against Oklahoma, they maybe weren't thinking about the national championship, but they thought that they could go on a run as they prepared for that game against Kansas that they ultimately won 38-31. Johnny also spoke very highly of Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett, said that there are some parallels between his story and Stetson's story about having to maybe step away from football or approach it in a different way than they expected to at the collegiate level before coming back and putting together really good seasons. Max Duggan also spoke very highly of Georgia, said, though, that his ultimate goal is to finish this season on a win. Hasn't really thought about just being able to play in the national championship game, but really is focused on winning it. And Wes Harris also mentioned something really interesting at the press conference on Tuesday, said that as the confetti was falling from the stadium ceiling in the Fiesta Bowl, one of the first people he sought out was his brother Wyatt. He said it was, he considers everybody on this team to be a brother, says that there is a family mentality here, but that it was special to be able to share it with Wyatt Harris as they celebrated together in that Fiesta Bowl win. Brian?
All right, that's our big three there. David Beaudin, Jeff Wilson, Jamie Plunkett, all over that press conference today at TCU. That's the last time we'll hear from the Frogs before they head out now to California. In the meantime, a lot of work to be done. Game planning, as you heard Sonny Dykes talk about as they get ready for this Georgia team. There'll be some walkthroughs tonight, the install, if you will, as to how they'll attack them. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the week. First, so coming up, as we continue to review that Verbo Fiesta Bowl win for the Horned Frogs, we got some special audio for you that happened post-game in that game. Landry Burdine, the sideline reporter for the Horned Frogs Sports Network, former safety here at TCU, joins us next on this Wednesday edition of Frogs Today.
Dave's Hot Chicken is a cult favorite. and now has 2 locations in Fort Worth, Bryant Irvin Road on I-20 and Berry Street at TCU, both owned and operated by Horned Frogs. Mention the Frogs Today show and get 10% off anytime, and order online at daveshotchicken.com.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com. Welcome back into Frogs Today here on the Wednesday edition. I want to bring Landry Burdine, our sideline reporter on the Horned Frog Sports Network, on former safety here. First off, let's talk about the game. 51-45, and it's funny. I thought Sonny Dykes had the great answer post-game when we said, hey, what are your dad and Mike Leach talking about right now up in heaven? And he said, my dad is going, you gave up 45 points. Yeah. And Mike Leach is going, yeah, perfect game.
Sounds about right. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And you know what? You think on it, though, this defense gave up 45 points, but they faced 18 offensive possessions by Michigan. The points per possession make it a little more reasonable, right?
Yeah, that was the one thing in kind of hindsight as you go back and look at the game. The defense played well, played at an elite level. I think they would, as they go back and look at the film, the safeties had a couple of coverage busts that will need to get cleaned up. They're not going to be able to make those mistakes against Georgia. But I think all in all, you had to say, man, it was just a great effort out of that defense. You know, the things I was looking at were the one-on-one matchups. Travis Hodges-Tomlinson won his top to bottom. Dominic Williams against the Remington Award-winning center dominated him. Yeah, I mean, he flat out, now he got moved around a little bit, but he stuffed the run. Yeah, but, you know, I mean, and even play one, right? That's a really good example. TCU was going to send a message on that play. Jamoy Hodge comes in and blows up the fullback, trying to send a message instead of getting in his run fit. And he did. He blew up the fullback, but the guy ran right by him. And so after that, they're like, okay, we're going to go ahead and play our style of defense. So, man, what can you say about the physical nature of that team and how TCU really was the hammer in that game?
And offensively, it's interesting to hear that press conference on Tuesday where Max Duggan and Sonny Dykes both said, we didn't play very well.
Yeah.
You know, left a lot out there, had the 3 turnovers, obviously, weren't as efficient as they wanted to be, yet you look at it, you put 51 points up on a top 5 defense out there.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with the ability to run the football.
Yes.
I mean, Amari DeMercado, when Kendrick Miller went down, and Kendrick Miller had a day up to that point, but it was just like, you know, insert, you know, plan B and off we go.
Right.
And the blocking schemes that A.J. Ricker had put in place for that game, and the game plan was masterful. Mm-hmm. And the thing that impressed me, just if you look at the game just from a kind of a global perspective, the game plan on both sides of the ball was masterful. And the ability to teach it and execute it was really impressive, and that includes all the way up to and including halftime and the adjustments. In a chaotic environment, in a game that might get away from you, it didn't happen. They were able to teach it and execute it, and that's really I took away from that.
And you know what? Joe Gillespie said that during the week. He said the bigger the game, the smaller the plane.
Yeah.
And I thought they lived up to that. There were new wrinkles, by the way, on both sides of the ball. But you can, if you've got a month to get ready, you can just do too much. And as Sonny Dykes said, you start seeing ghosts. This way, they kept it fairly simple, threw in some new wrinkles, but danced with who brung them, right?
Yeah, and they let their playmakers play.
Yes.
Yeah, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They said, all right, we're going to get D. Winters out in space and let him create. And that's exactly what they did. They gave him some optionality in his blitzes, which I thought was really creative. And, my gosh, they were so good in their zone drops, which is something we've talked about all year. The linebackers have to get better at that. Well, there they go. Yeah. And, you know, you saw the pick six. Did that remind you of Paul Dawson?
It did. It really did. And as D. Winters reminded everyone, he was a wide receiver at Brenham.
Yeah.
You know, just remember that. And got pretty good pass rush with 3 guys on him.
Yeah, and that's a credit to those 3 guys. I mean, Dylan Horton's a special talent.
4
sacks. And he was in the backfield all the time and creating pressure. And the thing about it is J.J. McCarthy can move, so being able to get to him and get him on the ground was pretty impressive.
I loved what Dylan Horton said in that post game or in the presser on Tuesday when I asked him, I think, or somebody asked him, I can't remember, it might have been me, what was the conversation like after play 1? And he said, next play.
Yeah.
Next play.
Well, it's how it was when Amari DeMercado came after the fumble.
Yeah.
He walked off the sideline. He walked right by me, and I heard him talking to the guys. He goes, I'm going to bust one.
Yeah.
He did.
And he did.
Yeah.
And it worked. All right, I want to talk about postgame because we're going to play some of this audio from the conversations that you had postgame. You did a heck of a job. In about a 8-minute period, Landry talked to Max Duggan, Quentin Johnston, Amari DiMaccardo, right?
Yep.
The D Winters, Chancellor Boschini, the athletic director Jeremiah Donati, Coach Sonny Dykes. Did I leave anybody
that's
out?
7. You got it.
Is that it? Yeah, in about 8 minutes. And so we're going to play some of this audio. But the reason I wanted you to come in here and first, let's do this. Let's play the audio right now. All right, here's some of the audio from that post game right now.
D, you guys heard all week about how Michigan was going to out-physical you guys and they were going to run the football down your throat. Tell me how you feel right now.
Anytime you face a team like that, that's physical. You just have to bring it each and every day. And when you're practicing, and we just wanted to be the most hardworking team tonight. And, we came out victorious.
You were able to get a lot of pressure coming off the edge. A lot of blitzes got home for you. This may have been your best game, man. How do you feel about your performance today?
I'm just thankful for God. He gave me the abilities to just come out here and showcase them, man. And I can't be more proud of this team. And I'm excited to go 1-0 next week.
7 tackles with a pick 6 and a score. That takes you on to the national championship. How are you guys going to prepare for Georgia or Ohio State?
We're just going to try to go 1-0 each and every day. And then eventually try to go 1-0 next Saturday.
Enjoy it, D.
Thank you.
Amari. Buddy, I can barely talk right now, man. You've been around this program for a long time. What does this mean to you?
It means everything, man. Just all the trials and tribulations we've been through to be here. They said we deserve to be here. Just come out and do it the way we did it, man. It's something special.
Jeremiah, it's a long time coming, brother. How are you feeling right now?
I don't have the words. This is just, it's unbelievable. I'm so proud of these guys. I'm so happy for TCU. I'm so happy for our football program. These guys put the work in. It started a year ago, and boy, they earned it. I'm just so happy for them.
This team and this program has been doubted every single step of the way. They've been told they don't belong every single step of the way. They've fought and clawed their way back in. Today, they showed the nation that they belong. What does this do for your athletic program going forward?
I gotta give some time to think about it. It's a game changer. We broke through the glass ceiling to get here. I'm not sure what ceiling we just broke through, but holy crap, it was a big one. So we're gonna enjoy this, but we're gonna get ready to head to LA and play for the national championship.
Why not a natty?
Why not a natty? Let's go.
Thanks, Jake. Chancellor, you believed. You always believed. You were vocal about it years and years ago. You were gonna make a commitment to athletics, and here you are playing for the national championship. You're emotional, I'm emotional. Tell me how this feels for you.
Amazing. It's amazing. It's incredible. I mean, I don't even have words for it. I don't know whether I want to cry or throw up.
Well, I'm crying. You throw up. How about that?
Okay, good.
Thanks, Victor.
Thanks.
Max, this program has been told for 20 years that it doesn't belong. You guys showed up today, and you proved that it did. You heard all week, for 3 weeks, how you guys couldn't match the physical nature of Michigan. How are you feeling right now?
Man, this is awesome. Obviously we're excited right now. We're going to celebrate this win, but this just goes back to all the great teams and guys that have, built this program up and been in the big games. And, we're here because of all those guys and all those great teams. And, this one's for all those guys.
Is it something that you guys saw? Did y'all know coming into this game there were some schemes and some things that you thought you could do? You ran the ball incredibly well, had a lot of good throws. Interceptions were tipped. They weren't really a scheme thing. Was this something you guys saw coming in? You had confidence coming in? You could win this football game?
Yeah, I think it was a mindset. Being confident, seeing how we see ourselves, and that's something that we knew it was going to be a tough battle, but we were capable of beating them, and we knew it was going to be a hard battle. But I think guys just kind of took on that tough mindset, kind of chip on their shoulder, and we were able to get a win.
I got to tell you, man, I've been around this place for a long time. I've been around a lot of players. You're the best damn competitor I've ever seen in my life.
Appreciate that. That means a lot. Appreciate it.
Go win a natty now.
Yes, sir.
The thing that stood out to me was the emotion. It was emotion from you.
Yeah.
But emotion from them as well, especially the Chancellor and Jeremiah, I thought.
Yeah, and an emotion from the players that I don't know if you could hear or not, and it's it's so tough. You got the fan part of you, right? Sure. That in that moment, you are overwhelmed, like literally overwhelmed with emotion. And there was so much of that was welling up in me at the time. And at the same time, you got a job to do, and you want the broadcast, you want the show to be good, and you want some meaningful conversations in that moment. And you also know that you got to get them before they go get on the stage, right? So, I was like, all right, here we go. And, the first one was Quentin Johnston, and he's a pretty level-headed dude, right? I mean, he's no nonsense, and so we talked, and then Amari DiMercato was right next to him. And when I looked Amari in the eye, that's when it got me. And him too. And, but there was a part of me that kind of regrets it, but then there's also a part of me that's like, you know what, that was special.
Yeah, I think it was great.
And you're right, when Victor Bashini, I got to tell you, I mean, he was just tears, and I had tears. I think he's, you hear the audio there. He said he didn't know whether to cry or throw up. And but that was the moment, right? And that's what we were all feeling. So it was special, man. I mean, the road that this university has taken, and every step of the way, instead of pulling back, they double down. They invest more. They go bigger. It's just brick by brick mentality that now here we are, in this place.
Did you hear from you guys? We've talked about this before. The '98 Sun Bowl team, really kind of the foundation, the start of this 2.5 decades of success. Did you hear from some of your Sun Bowl brothers afterwards?
We have a Sun Bowl text string, and it's pretty much comprehensive, all the guys. And, during the game, those knuckleheads are blowing me up, and, just the phone's going nuts. But after the game, that was what was really special, is seeing those guys and how excited they were. And, and it went late into the evening, just, hey, where's the party at kind of thing. And the thing that was cool about it is, where is everybody? Meaning everybody on that text string.
Right.
We want to be together. And some of us were able to see each other. I was able to see Joe Briggs. I was able to see Sean Worthen. I was able to see some guys from that team that night, which made it even more special. But, it was, it's great. And everybody's like that, man. It's just everybody was real excited.
We saw Patrick Bateau, and Basil Mitchell, and LeVarville, all those guys leading up to that game. So it was fun to relive. So, all right, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Georgia before I let you go. Really good football team, top to bottom. Kirby Smart's done an amazing job. You got the quarterback in Stetson Bennett, who very similar to Max.
Yes,
it really is.
A lot of ways. He's real similar. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Very good playmaker too. It's not like he's a game manager or whatever. I mean, the guy makes plays. I tell you the difference in this game from the Michigan game, if Frog fans are kind of curious. To me, watching film, and I've just seen a little bit of Georgia so far, but the speed advantage that TCU had against Michigan, and it was drastic. They're not going to have against Georgia. Georgia can move, and Georgia's really big. And the other advantage is the coaching. Michigan got out-coached in a lot of ways, and Georgia's very well coached. So this is good on good, man. It is going to be a humdinger. But the one thing that I know about this Frog team is the moment's never going to be too big for them. It's a senior-laden team at all the key spots. And they follow kind of the mentality of their leader in Sonny Dykes and Max Duggan too, and so they're gonna. It's like I was talking to one of the guys on the team, after the game, and he was like, they're gonna know we were there. Whoever we play is going to know we were there. It's kind of like, I'm going to be there. You better pack a lunch because it's going to be a long day for you. And I think that's how they feel about this game.
All right, Landry will be there. Great work, by the way.
Thanks, man.
And he will be at SoFi on Monday. That's a 7 o'clock Central kick, by the way. And did I get that right?
I don't even know what day it is, Brian. I just know we got to be there.
I think it's a 7-ish, something like that. But more coverage continues all week long here, of course, as we lead into that championship game coming up on Monday from SoFi. We got more to come on Frogs today. We'll get to that after we take this time.
Texas-based Happy Water offers the best-tasting, sugar-free kids drink ever made. Happy Water comes in 4 delicious flavors that you can find at local retailers and on Amazon. Each pouch contains 0 grams of sugar, 0 calories, and 0% juice. Head to happydrinks.com for more information and to purchase Happy Water. That's HAPI drinks.com. Live happy. Be happy. Drink happy.
For exclusive interviews and content on TCU recruits, subscribe now at frogstoday.com. Any sport, anytime. It's your source for all things TCU. Only on frogstoday.com.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
Welcome back into Frogs Today here on the Wednesday as we continue to review that Fiesta Bowl, the Verbo Fiesta Bowl win for the Horned Frogs over Michigan. Don't forget, coming up Friday, it is our big preview of the College Football Championship. We'll get into that coming up on Friday. All week long, by the way, there's specials. It started on Monday with Purple Theory dropping their Fiesta Bowl review. They'll have a preview coming out. You got a Dissecting the Frogs coming up. I know there's a Facing the Frog. I mean, folks, it's every day this week. You want to be here at Frogs Today. All right, let's dive into this. I want to talk about the Fiesta Bowl, though. And I want to talk about it from a coaching perspective. Because it's easy for us as fans to go, Sonny outcoached Jim Harbaugh. Did he?
Yeah, I think he did. Everything is calculated with this program from day one, and there was no exception there. I think the only question I had during the game, I actually got a chance to talk to Sonny about this and ask him, but, it was that 3rd and 7 there late in the game. They could have, kind of took a shot at the end zone. Looked like just handed it off to Amari DiMercardo, got it to the middle, kicked the field goal. I asked him about that and said, what was the thought process behind that? He said, look, we really actually were trying to get it down to 4th and 2, 4th and 3 to go ahead and try and score. They would have went for it in that case. The way it worked out, though, as you know, it worked out great because then now they had to go. I went up by 9 at that point. Yeah. And then they still needed 2 scores, so it ended up working out. So I think in every scenario, as we've seen all year long, and it's just the thought put into the analytics and really giving themselves the best chance to win.
Well, and you think about that particular play, you get to where you're 4th and 2 and go for it, successful, then you keep marching down your score. You kind of can't lose there with that play, right? I mean, because, okay, if you don't get it, then you do kick the field goal and you're still up 2 scores. That was like, okay, let's just see what happens, and then we'll decide, right?
Right. No, that's exactly right. And, you saw earlier in the year, it worked out. They handed off something similar. I think it was against Oklahoma State. Kind of similar scenario on 3rd down. And you can catch the defense sleeping sometimes, right? Where they're sort of, they're bringing pressure. They're thinking a pass scenario, and then all of a sudden you're waltzing into the end zone. So I thought you saw that there. And then on the flip side, early in the game, of course, and you saw that trick play that Jim Harbaugh admitted that he took full responsibility, said it was a bad call. I don't think he needed to explain that to us. I think we knew that already.
Yeah, exactly. I saw it. Yeah.
But to come away then twice with no points at all inside the 5, such a huge difference. And then one other time you're down there in the low red zone, only come away with 3 points. To me, the turnovers, the talk, that's the story of the game.
He's like 1-5 in bowl games now at Michigan, isn't that right? I think it's 1-5.
What bowl game has he won though?
2-6. Yeah, I know. I think he's 1-5 in bowl games. All right. Is there something to that?
Yeah, I think so. I think you are what you are, right? The old Bill Parcells said, "You are what your record says you are," and it's just something there. Something you got to go back and look at and say, okay, how do we approach the postseason? Is it overkill? Right? Are we doing too much? Mm-hmm. Sometimes that could be the case. You think you just have that mentality a lot of times as a coach that the more we work, the more we do. Then you're going to reap the bigger reward. And it's not always the case. And really, kind of playing this yin and yang, you talk about Coach Dykes, he's the exact opposite, right? He understands that sometimes more is less, and his team appreciates that, and they feed off being fresh. And really does a tremendous job. I think one of his greatest strengths is making sure that they peak at the right time. And when they come out there on a Saturday, or in this case Monday, that they'll be at their very best.
They talked about the game plan before that when you had a month to prepare for it. The schedule changes this week, obviously. It's a lot tighter. They did show a couple of new things, a new wrinkle or two. Let's start with the offense, because I'm not going to get the terminology right, but they went with those 4 receivers in a stack a couple of times. Quads? Quads. And we hadn't seen that all year. Yet they didn't throw out of that. I found that interesting.
Yeah, I think they were trying to give, again, I think Garrett Riley and this staff does a really great job of doing the same things and presenting it in a bunch of different ways. And so you saw them motion back Kendre Miller, those couple times they're in that formation, and just simply run the ball. Right. It's a simple zone play, stuff they've done all year long.
But they made you think about that over there.
That's exactly right. Yeah, just, again, get your eyes somewhere else, get the defensive eyes somewhere else, and put the ball where they are. So I think they'll continue to do that. Keep it simple for those guys up front so they can just execute and play fast and physical up front with the offensive line, but present it in a bunch of different ways.
I've seen you there breaking down tape from last week all week long, and so I want to focus on that because I know you're moving on to Georgia here shortly. But first, though, TCU's offense, they to a man said they didn't play great. What did you think after looking at it on tape?
Yeah, I mean, I think they played well, obviously well enough to win the football game, but anytime you turn the ball over 3 times, you can't be pleased,
But
right?
those 2 picks really weren't on Max, were they?
No, they weren't. And I think they'll go back. I'm sure the receivers, especially those, really those verticals routes, I thought the receivers didn't do their best, right?
Yeah.
There weren't even interceptions during those times, but they got pinned to the sideline. They need to do a better job stacking back on top of those corners. They know that. They're obviously super talented.
Yeah.
They've got great coaches, and I know they'll get that fixed. But they've got to give Max an opportunity, some room on the sideline. So I think the stuff underneath, they did a really nice job. I think they'll go back and fix that stuff, down the field. They had that one late to Quentin on the deep cross. I think that really it was a huge play there.
Yes.
But I think they'll go back and try to get some of those just straight verticals worked out.
I saw you with the cowboy clicker looking at the offensive line. How well did they play?
Yeah, they played I thought they played really well. That's a physical front, big guys. I think that was played up all, really for the few weeks leading into it. But I think it's accurate. I mean, that's a good defensive front, and they know it. They're going to see quite a defensive front, heading into this game. But Sonny talked about it at his press conference. Just said, hey, this is a little bit different. They're more of pass rushers on the edge. Kirby Smart puts a premium on speed. Really, that kind of quintessential SEC type defensive lineman, big, strong, fast guys.
All right, defensively, Joe Gillespie's plan. What did you think of it? I love the fact that they didn't just let J.J. McCarthy sit back there, that they put pressure on him.
Yeah, and that's something, we've seen, and they've had success dropping 8 quite a bit throughout the year, but they got after him. And I thought really, D. Winters, of course, is a story and the success that he had, but what impressed me most about him, and we talked a little bit about it, Frog State was able to be at the tailgate there before the game. We got talked some football, and we said, look, D. Winters is going to have to play on the line of scrimmage quite a bit. He did just that, and he more than held his own. And this is a guy who is not undersized at linebacker, but certainly playing up on the line of scrimmage would be considered undersized. And he beats people with his speed at that spot. They're just not fast enough to handle him. He made some plays, great plays coming off the edge.
And the other thing I thought that you were the soothsayer on you beforehand. You were talking about how the corners for TCU are much more physical than what you see in the Big Ten. I thought they were really good in run support.
Yeah, they were unbelievable. I mean, they jammed guys in man all over the place, and they also, like you said, in run support, they were not only physical but disciplined on setting an edge right on the outside. It's very similar to a defensive end inside the box where you got to set the edge, squeeze that gap down. When Michigan tried to go out in the perimeter, they did the same exact thing. They would set it, keep their outside arm free, force everything back to all the pursuit was coming from that TCU defense, which was flying around.
All right, give me some grades. Let's start with offense. What kind of grade did you give them?
I mean, I look at those guys and say, a B+ for being able to do what they did. Yeah, I mean, the turnovers notwithstanding, I think those are fixable errors. I think that, anytime you've got deflections and that kind of things, I mean, that's a skill that's a learned skill that they'll have, and they'll get back and fix that. So it wasn't like they were just huge mental errors. I know they'll want to have those back. So I'd say that, yeah.
And defensively?
I think defensively, I think even though the score was what it was, I'm looking at it A- for those guys. I mean, that's a good offense. That's a heck of an offensive line. And to do what they were able to do, I'd say in that.
Yeah, and you think about it, we talked about this earlier. I mean, 18 possessions you had to face. I mean, you gave up 45 points. You start breaking it down to the points per possession, it looks a little better.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. All right, special teams, to me, a bit of a concern. I uncharacteristically, I thought they didn't have a great night.
Yeah, I think you had that big explanation point there at the end by Trent Battle on the punt.
Yes.
Huge. Perfect timing, squared him up. It was huge, like you said, for field position, and also just made a statement at that point in the game that they were still in this thing physically, and because you kind of felt it slipping away a little bit, and so I thought that was a big deal. But I think this is something consistently all year, as well as the special teams have played. And, they've got obviously some really bright spots. We talk about the bazooka kick at Baylor, and that's been a big one. But they've had some other really bright spots. I think the one thing they can do in the punt return game is get that thing figured out on when they're going to return it and when they got to sort of be a great actor, right? That 10-yard rule that we talked about. If your toes are at the 10-yard line, if it goes over your head, come up there running, waving your arm, and be an actor and get the defense away from it. And if it's inside the, if that's inside the 10, that's what you do. So it rolled in the end zone. And anything else, you should be returnable. They've struggled with that a little bit. Really, whoever's back there. I understand
Darius Davis, when he's back there, you're like, hey, look, man, just go ahead and return it anytime.
Right.
So I can get it because they got some really talented guys back there.
I thought Jordy did a nice job punting. I really thought his decision on the snap, on the field goal attempt, the extra point there, where that was a turf issue, by the way. He goes to put that ball down. That turf, we had heard about it being slick. The ball slides out on him. He could have thrown that. I thought it was wise that he just said, you know what? I better eat this thing.
Yeah.
That could have been bad.
Yeah, because then it's a 3-point swing, right?
Yep.
And so I agree that it is. And you're right about the turf. We saw safeties slipping all over the place, very uncharacteristic of them, but it was because of the turf. And we kind of saw it before in pregame, walking around down there. It was really cut low. It was almost like the old AstroTurf. That's what it looked like, but pretty slick. And so that did cause some problems.
Yeah, Greg Meyer, our friend from here in Fort Worth, who's an NFL official, had given us a heads up about that. He said it is the slickest field in the NFL.
Oh, wow.
He said, I think he jokingly said, I fall down twice a game.
Right.
In Phoenix, and he's not a player, so that's the way it works out. All right, man, good stuff there. So we got a Dissecting the Frogs coming up later this week, right? You'll look back on that Fiesta Bowl, and then a Facing the Frogs. You're going to look at Georgia, right? And you'll start to break down them a little bit closer.
Yeah, it'll come out Saturday. We'll dive into that for Facing the Frogs, and we'll get into it. I can already, we all know they're a really good football team, players all over the place. And as you know, they came out really hot, fast start. I think they beat, Oregon the first game by 43 points, beat South Carolina by 41.
Right.
Cooled off a little bit in the middle, but was still taking care of business, and they've sort of on that upswing again.
Teams have thrown the football against them the last several weeks, so right?
They have, yeah. And I think they've learned that, look, if we're going to throw against these guys, we're going to get it out quick, right? Because they're not going to let you sit back there.
All right, good deal. Thank you. Good stuff from David Beaudin joining us here on Frogs Today. More to come here on the Wednesday after this time.
Dave's Hot Chicken is a cult favorite and now has 2 locations in Fort Worth, Bryant Irvin Road on I-20 and Berry Street at TCU, both owned and operated by Horned Frogs. Mention the Frogs Today show and get 10% off anytime and order online at daveshotchicken.com.
For exclusive interviews and content on TCU recruits, subscribe now at frogstoday.com. Any sport, anytime. It's your source for all things TCU. Only on frogstoday.com.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com.
All right, thank you to Coach David Beaudin dropping by earlier, kind of breaking down the coaching matchup that took place last Saturday. This will be a big one coming up on Monday. Sonny Dykes versus Kirby Smart should be fun to watch. Coming up a little bit later on, there were a lot of Frog fans who were here to welcome TCU back after that Verbo Fiesta Bowl. But first, we wanted to get the reaction from these players and coaches as to what they thought after that game. Start to look ahead a little bit to Georgia. It was a press conference earlier today, and we start with the head coach, Sonny Dykes, in his own words right now.
The one thing in our profession now that if you can do anything the way it works these days is you want to try to play on Monday night, and we're getting a chance to do that. So excited for our players, and I think it's a great opportunity for TCU and our football program and everything associated with it. You know, as the game went along, we felt like our guys got stronger and got more physical. And that's been, pretty consistent really throughout the year. And I think that's probably part of the reason we played so well, as I said, in the second half of ball games. Run game really started to get going. Kind of played out the same way Saturday. As you go prepare for Georgia, the same thing as Michigan, just a little bit more athletic in terms of really big guys up front. Ends are a little different, better pass rushers. Michigan was more big, long, kind of bigger defensive ends. a little more run stopper type guys, where these are a little bit more typical SEC defensive ends, really, really good pass rushers, really physical guys, great speed, great athleticism. And then obviously up front, the tackles, that group of tackles is really impressive. I mean, those guys are tremendous athletes and, not only big and strong, but can redirect and can run. And they do these athletic things that you just don't see other guys do. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was anything stellar, our performance. I think that the great thing about it is our players know this, our staff certainly knows it. We can play a lot better than we did, and that's encouraging. Same thing it's been all year. Just do your job, play hard, be physical, take care of your business. I think the big thing for us is just learning how to handle all this. We were in Phoenix for a long time, and the way our players prepared and the maturity they showed, was exactly what we needed in order to be able to go out and win that ball game. And so, you got to tip your hat to these guys. They have been up for every single challenge this year. It's been a learning experience. I mean, we've said it over and over again. We're kind of building this airplane as we're flying it. That's the way it's been all year, because everything's new, and we're putting it together. And we didn't have a bowl formula. We didn't have any of that. We just put a lot of thought and effort into trying to maximize every opportunity to get better, let our players enjoy the experience, which I'm glad that we did. And at the same time, most importantly, get them ready to go play a big football game. And thought the guys really responded well to that challenge. I mean, look, the fan support here has just been tremendous. I mean, I don't take it for granted. I really don't. It's something that, means a lot to me personally, means a lot to our players, just the way our fans, our alumni, the city of Fort Worth, everybody has supported this program. I think it's really been something special. And, when you come back from a long trip like that and, a long day of travel and you have several thousand fans here, it certainly boosts your spirits and reemphasizes what you already know, just how important college football is to Fort Worth and to TCU. What happens when you have a month to prepare for another team is, you start to see a lot of ghosts. You can talk yourself into a lot of things and you have all these ideas, and then you go out there and you go, well, that's a bad idea. And then you try another idea. And before long, everybody's up in arms and discombobulated. And I thought our staff did a really nice job of being focused and tight with the game plan. When this season ends, the bigger challenge now is how are we going to react to being, kind of the favorite. This team should have played for a national championship one more time, potentially two more times before this. The perception of the Big 12 has changed. Still probably not what it needs to be, but it's better. And I think all that allowed us to get in the playoff. And then it was up to us to do something with that opportunity then. Mac will shoot me a text occasionally and go like, hey, you might want to mix in a loss or something. It's kind of did the same thing at SMU when we were 10-0 in year two and kind of faltered down the stretch a little bit. But we're going to play hard. We're going to play hard for 60 minutes. We're going to play as physical as we can. And if we execute at a high level, then things will be just fine. Called me after the game was Marshawn Lynch. So that was cool to get to talk to Marshawn. Marshawn and I got to be pretty close when I was at Cal, and love Marshawn. He's got a great heart. That guy's done more for Oakland than anybody that you can imagine. And we got to know each other through the Boys and Girls Club and obviously his time at Cal and have some mutual friends. And it was great to catch up with him. I invited him to the game, but he told me he was going to Italy instead. So
right. I feel like during spring, we as a defense, we got used to it. That's kind of where we, defined our culture as a defense, and that's kind of how we got comfortable. Or going to the game, we knew we were a physical team. We got to show that during the game, and we kind of keep the same mindset coming into this upcoming game. As a team, we focus on the next play no matter any situation.
I've been walking around telling people like it's almost like it's scripted. My last college game, I get to go right down the road from my house. So just a surreal feeling, and I'm excited for it. It was big for me, just, always having that confidence in what you're capable of and then finally be able to really put it on display. I like those birria tacos. Like they have it's a taco truck in East LA. It's really good. Got 5-star rating. I don't remember the name of it, but I know where it's at. So. I talk to people like from my neighborhood, but just being able to, like you said, like I guess create hope. Some people growing up like they don't have much hope. Like it's like you only know what you see. So if you just see people hanging out, that's all you know. You don't think you really had the opportunity to do much more. But I think for me, like just to be able to be that, beacon of hope from somebody, like that's something big to me. That's what makes our team so good. Like we don't let the moment take a hold of us. Like we're still able to be calm, even in moments like after I fumble. Like I didn't let that moment take a hold of me. It was like Dylan said earlier, it's next play. Like that mentality is what's taken us so far. We just talked about the plays. Just like, oh, I saw you was about to break one. And literally right before I broke the long one, I told him, like, I feel a big one coming. And then it happened the next drive. Everybody's using their tickets. So I'm like, yeah, y'all might have to pay for some tickets. People tell me it's just going to have to be a watch party because those prices are ridiculous right now. I think I just brought back like that explosiveness I used to have. Like I'm not sure where it might have just been like a confidence thing, honestly. I think that's the biggest thing that I've gotten back this year is my confidence in knowing what I'm capable of. With Coach Jones behind me, with Kaz and his strength staff, and the things that they've instilled in us, And I think like I just had that feeling like, okay, I'm getting back in my groove, and that's just taking me to this point this season. It comes down to the small things. Like he said, like the best running backs have like they trust their tracks every play and just don't, like I was saying earlier, don't let too much get into your head. Like just go out there, play, have fun. I think that's the biggest thing he allows us to do. Like he doesn't try to overcoach us. Like he in practice he instills in us what we need to know, and then from there he just lets us do our job. And obviously, if you mess up, he's gonna get on you. But he doesn't try to do too much and be too nitpicky. Like he's gonna give you confidence in what you're doing.
Oh, it's huge, man. Nobody gave us a shot at the beginning of the year. I don't think anybody thought we'd win with 5-6 games. And, to be able to play for not only a national championship, we got to play for a Big 12 championship. We just won the Fiesta Bowl. Now we get to go play for a national championship. It's huge for this school, for the whole Fort Worth community. I think back of like the Rose Bowl in 2011, what it did for this place. And, you fast forward 10, 12 years later, we're playing for a national championship. It's awesome. I feel like it's going to turn this place around. It's definitely going to catch the attention of, recruits, just in that, talking that kind of stuff for football wise. But it's great, man, especially like we get back from the game and there had been a couple thousand people here, cheering us on. And I've never seen anything like that. And it was awesome, to be a part of and, to know that the community's behind us. And shoot, I feel like a lot of the, the country's behind us, I feel like people are kind of getting used to seeing the same teams win and win and win. And, you throw us in there, nobody gives us a shot. Well, now we got a shot. So, yeah, we're excited, and it's a good deal, man. Oh, they're legit, dude. They're really good. But I mean, heck, dude, who's not at this point? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody, you're going to play at this point. Everybody's going to be good. Everybody's going to have NFL guys all across the board. And, it's a challenge for us, but why not? To be the best, you got to beat the best. So bring it on, right? Man, I'll tell you this much. I took way too much stuff to Arizona, dude. I had like 32 bags. I didn't know what to expect. So I'm not going to take 32 this time. I'll cut it in half and bring 16. But no, I'm excited, man. I think we're going down there for like 3 days. We're not going down there to, see California. We're going down there to win a national championship. So we're excited, man. We're in a dome, so I'm not going to have to worry about getting sunburned. I know I mentioned that to you last time, so I'll be all right there. So, but yeah, man, we're excited. I guess, I said I've never been to California. It's pretty cool if your first time to go is to play for a national championship. So we're excited.
There's thousands of people play college football, hundreds of teams. So being one of the final two teams is like, you got to pinch yourself. You're like, all right, we're one of the final two teams, but we've been putting in work all year. We've been getting, told by Coach Kaz, all of our coaches, like keep winning, good things are going to happen. It's a big time program. This is a big time team. It's Texas football. So I'd say we beat Oklahoma the way we beat them, just getting that monkey off our back, a team we hadn't beaten in a while, a team that had a lot of hype, a team that had a lot of talent. We beat them pretty good. And then I think we started realizing that we could do some serious damage and then just take it 1 week at a time, one game at a time. We weren't looking at the national championship week 4. We were looking at the next game, which was Kansas. So just going one game at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time, getting used to the film, getting used to the team scheme. That's how we kind of approach it, and that's how we're approaching this one. But yeah, now that we're here, like, we can believe it. I think I was touching on it earlier. Just take it 1 day at a time. Watch a little bit of film at night before you go to bed. Get 30 minutes, an hour in. Watch yourself in practice. Get used to the game plan. Get used to how their team likes to operate, how they fire off the ball. Find yourself and visualize yourself making plays. Think of your celebrations. So when you make a big play, you can not look stupid on TV. Just take it 1 day at a time, really, and then just treat it like another game. Like, there's going to be distractions. A lot of famous people are going to be there. It's awesome. Like, it's what you dream of. But just taking it one game at a time. Then when you're playing the game, stay calm. Just bring it every play. Play with an unmatched effort and have an attitude like you belong. And just 1 day at a time. I think it just adds a chip. You're playing a blue blood, and the media likes the blue bloods. They want the blue bloods to win. They want the blue bloods to play each other. The school's bigger fan bases, all that stuff. So that's what they want. But for us, like, just an opportunity to, put yourself on the map, earn some money, put some respect on your family name, that sort of thing. So it's just a tremendous opportunity, and we're blessed to be in this position playing such a gifted, historic, strong program and the defending national champs.
I think just not listening to anything outside of our walls, whether, that was at Big 12 media days in preseason, people picking us seventh, it didn't really bother us. Any opinions outside of these walls and outside of our programs, we didn't listen to, whether it's good stuff, whether it's bad stuff. We see ourselves, how we see ourselves, and that's all that matters. I don't know if it was rust or anything like that. I just think it was one of those days where you didn't have your best stuff, but in games like that, you don't have to have your best stuff sometimes. You just, be able to compete and rely on guys. And when you need to make a big play, our guys were able to do that. And, that helped us win that game. Just continuing to believe, and it's something hard to do after a loss, is to keep believing in yourself and the team. A lot of people, feel like they hit rock bottom when you lose something like that, when you have a loss like that, especially the first loss of your season. But I think continuing to stay, with your roots, the things that got us to this point were something that, I kind of learned and we took as a team with us. And, I think you learn more about yourself after a loss than you do as a win, kind of look yourself in the mirror a little bit more. But I think that's kind of something is that we continue to believe in each other and in this program and our coaching staff, that one game wasn't really going to define us and, have a lingering impact on us for the rest of the year. Yeah, we're focused in on what we're doing, but we understand, there's been so many great teams and that have built this program up to get to where we are. I've had guys from, past teams that have been hitting me up and congratulating me, and they're rooting for us because, whether it was teams back, in the Southwest Conference, teams, with Andy, the 2014 team, obviously there's so many other great teams that got us to this point. And, we're trying to do it for those guys, the guys that put the jersey on before us, because, this program and this university wouldn't be what we are without those guys. We wouldn't be able to, have an opportunity to win a national championship without, all the hard work and sacrifice that those guys made. So, we're just trying to make those guys proud and, give them something to root for. Obviously, like, Andy's been, staying in contact with me. I think that's kind of a huge thing. A bunch of other guys from the 14 team, Kyle Hicks, Trayvon, guys like that, some older guys that, played back in the day, 2000s, kind of the back then. But, it's just been a lot of fun to hear some support from those guys that, they're watching. They want this, just like they were when they were playing. Yeah, I think I've grown a lot in an aspect of being a leader. Obviously you always want to be a vocal leader. Things of that sort. And I know a lot of people say lead by example, but I think there's always something more than that. I think everybody, leads by example. But I think something that I kind of took over this year of kind of changing my narrative of being a leader, of not, caring more about others than really yourself. Making sure that other people are in the right spot and are being successful rather than myself, kind of taking it to the chin more than putting on other people. And I think that's something where I've grown in my aspect of being a leader, and our team has as well, of being those guys that think about others and think about the team and think about this program rather than yourself. And it's helped us get to this point. You want to win that last game of the year. Doesn't matter what it is. That's our goal right now. And that's something that we want. And I think, we'd be pretty disappointed, if we weren't able to. So that's our goal right now. And that's what we're planning on doing. So. Yeah, I think you visualize that of your plan of what we need to do to win that game. I think that's kind of the way that I'm taking it, in visualization, not more of, holding up the trophy at the end, but understanding our plan to get to that point where you get to hold that trophy up at the end of the day. I think that's kind of, our mindset right now where we're at.
All right, good to hear from Coach Dykes and some Horned Frog players on Tuesday as they start to turn their attention now to Georgia. One last look, though, back we go. As the Horned Frogs made their way back from Arizona, there were hundreds of folks in purple there to greet them. Let's check this out right now.
Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Yeah, hey, every day can be a better day despite the challenge. All you gotta do is leave it better than you found it. It's gonna get difficult to stand, but hold your balance. I just say whatever, cause there is no way you're.
It means a lot. It's something new, it's something I ain't seen. I love it a lot.
It means the world to us, just knowing that we got the city of Fort Worth behind us, the greatest fan base in America.
It means everything, just like I said, I had an interview last night and I talked about how all the people drove out, flights got canceled, we're just gonna drive. Just to have that kind of support behind us, I think that's what makes this culture so great. The team, the fans, and it's taken us a long way.
It's an unbelievable feeling, just getting a big win and, an environment like that. Going out to Phoenix with, our teammates, it's just an amazing feeling.
It's dope. It's something you always see on TV growing up, the Pete Carrolls, all that, holding up the ball. So to finally be able to have that moment for myself is something I'll never forget.
Man, it felt great. We put in a lot of hard work since December in the summertime, springtime, just to see all that hard work pay off. It's truly a blessing.
Oh yeah, it's a big deal to me. And, I just appreciate everybody's support, all the fans that came to Arizona and supported us at home. I just thank y'all so much for coming out, and it means a lot to us and the team.
Just a crazy feeling, to finally be in that moment.
Obviously we traveled really well to Arizona. We're expecting to do the same thing for the game in California.
It means a lot just to have that support. Our fans are really supporting us and them showing up and greeting us back home. I just really love it.
In the playoffs, knowing that we're going to the championship, it's just a surreal feeling. Just knowing I'm being able to go home for my last college game is something unbelievable, honestly.
Sights and sounds from this past weekend, wrapping it up there as TCU made their way back from Arizona. Thank you for joining us here on this Wednesday edition of Frogs Today. Our look back at that Fiesta Bowl win. Now we start to turn our attention to the Georgia Bulldogs. And the good news for you is there's wall-to-wall programming here at Frogs Today all week long. Coach David Beaudin will break down that Fiesta Bowl on Dissecting the Frogs. You'll check that out on our website. We've got a Facing the Frogs where he and Jamie Plunkett start to break down that matchup coming up with Georgia on Monday. The Purple Theory podcast, they're going to be previewing that matchup as well. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. And we'll hear from the other sideline as well as Melissa Treibwasser checks out one of the analysts for the Georgia Bulldogs and what they think about TCU. Again, you go to our website at frogstoday.com for all the latest information. And Friday, we'll drop another edition here of Frogs Today, including a preview of that matchup on Monday. So I invite you to be with us all week long. Make sure you like, share, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to Frogs Today, frogstoday.com, on the YouTube channel as well. We'll be right here for you. For our entire crew, thanks for joining us. See you all week long. Wall-to-wall coverage of the Horned Frogs run to the Natty right here on Frogs Today.
Frogs Today is brought to you by the Flying Tea Club, supporting TCU student athletes, and by Richard's Rainwater. Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Frogs Today is a production of Roxo Media House. Roxo Media House.